Okay, I think can be doing something. Hello, good evening. Good evening. Welcome to another episode of my health talk. My name is Aminatu Watara. Short name is Mina. I come your way again today to discuss about blood pressure. I would like to throw more light on it. Yesterday we started, but we couldn't finish because I had some few challenges with my setup. So I went off earlier than the planned time. And so today I wanted to come again and go through some of the things I was supposed to complete yesterday, but unfortunately I couldn't. We are going to discuss blood pressure, what it is. I'll just go over some of the few things I discussed yesterday and then add some more. And I'll be going into details on how to manage it nutritionally. Some of the things you should do that will help you maintain a normal blood pressure without being on medications. Because sometimes we are always of the view that when people are heading towards 50, 60, 70 years going, they are supposed to be on a blood pressure medication. It's not always the case. If you have a good lifestyle, a planned lifestyle, a routine lifestyle that is good, and you take care of yourself, you are not going to be on medication. It's not everybody that automatically is given a therapy, a lifetime therapy for blood pressure. If you know how to manage your lifestyle, know how to eat, how to choose your foods, you may not be on any medication for life until you are 90 or until God calls you. So this evening I'm going to give you some of the details on how to eat, what to do to prevent diabetes. Prevent blood pressure. Okay, diabetes is always in my mind because this month we're in our diabetic awareness month, so I'm always talking about it. So that's why I mistakenly mentioned it. But today we are talking about blood pressure. Last week was diabetes. Today we are talking about blood pressure. So welcome once again. I'm very happy to be doing this. It's something that is part of me. Anytime I meet people and I see that somebody has a chronic disease, I willingly discuss these things. But right now I want to increase or widen up my audience. I want to share it out there and be able to touch lives. And that's why I come out every Saturdays and Sundays at 10 p.m. to discuss some of these things. And I'm going to be doing more of this every weekend. I'm going to be inviting more experts that will go into detail on certain topics. The topics that I know I can just talk about it, not really in detail. They are going to discuss and give us more points on them. And so expect more of that in the few weeks ahead and all that. So, like I said yesterday, when you talk about blood pressure, every human being has blood pressure. And so it's not a disease per se, but it becomes a disease when it is abnormal. Okay, so it can only be abnormal in two ways. It's when you have a higher blood pressure or a lower blood pressure. So there's a range and there's a figure that will tell you that your blood pressure is going up or going low. The normal range for blood pressure should be 120 over 90. The systolic should always be around 120 or a little above 120, and 90 or a little above or around 90. And so if you are getting something above 120, you are going to 120, 130, 140, you are being stage 1 hypertensive. If your diastolic pressure is also going up or irregular, it means you are also becoming hypertensive. And so there are stages of being hypertensive. The earlier you deal with, the better. The same way, if your pressure becomes lower than the normal, it gives you a condition called hypotensive. That's hypo. So when it's hyper is high blood pressure, hypo low blood pressure. Okay. So yesterday I threw more light on the things you do to be to put you at risk of having low blood pressure, and then some of the things you do that puts you at risk of having high blood pressure. So there are symptoms that shows that you have low blood pressure. And one is having a blurred vision, you have confusion, dizziness, you feel like fainting. Sometimes you are there and you have blackout. You feel like vomiting, you feel sleepy, you are sluggish. It means you are having low blood pressure. It's not always the case, but these are symptoms. So when you have all these symptoms, you can be checking on your blood pressure. If it is always low, then you have to report immediately to the specialist or the doctor, and they will put you on some treatment to bring it back to normal. But there's a first aid you are supposed to do is to take water with solutes. It's mostly sugar and a little salt mixed together. You take it, or ORS in water. You take it. That's the first aid for hypotensive people with low blood pressure before you go to the hospital for further treatment. And with the low blood pressure, there are causes. There are things that causes it. When you are too much on hard drugs, cocaine, weed, and the rest, it puts you at risk of having low blood pressure. You are taking too much alcohol. You are always on painkillers. You don't take too much water. You don't drink water to be hydrated. It gives you low blood pressure, because the body itself is designed in such a way that it is always within a certain range to work. If you do not take enough water, you have a problem. If you take too much of something, you have a problem. So you should always monitor your health, your intake. Like we always say as nutritionists, you are what you eat. Whatever you eat, you are that at the end of the day. So you should always put in mind that whatever you eat, you are building your body. You are building whatever you enjoy tomorrow when you are in your 60s, your 70s, your 80s going. So whatever you start with as you are in your 20s is what is going to pay you in your 50s, your 60s going. So if you take too much alcohol when you are young, you should know that you are creating or building up a chronic disease in the future that you are going to deal with. But if you are able to manage your health, take care of your health, you don't take all these alcohol, hard drugs, too much painkillers, and all. Some people abuse painkillers. They don't take it for reducing pain, but they take it to have a certain feeling. That's also an abuse. You are creating something tomorrow that you'll be facing. So all these are risk factors that puts you in that condition. So you are supposed to monitor your intake of alcohol, hard drugs, cocaine, weed, and the rest. Any drug that makes you feel high, in quotes, painkillers and all. These are things that put you at risk of having a low blood pressure. So if you realize somebody has low blood pressure, the first thing you should do is to let the person lie down straight, and then with the head facing down, raise the person's leg above the heart level. That is the first thing you should do. Even when you are transporting the person to the hospital, the person should be in that position until they get to the hospital. That way, blood can flow to the heart or to the brain. Because when blood pressure is low, you have low blood pressure. What it actually means is you are not able to pump blood up to the brain or up to the heart. And when that happens, it may lead to organ failure, okay, either heart failure or something in the brain. that can be an emergency case. So anytime you are feeling that way, head down, raise your legs above your heart level. That's the first aid for low blood pressure. Okay, so most of the time we don't talk about low blood pressure. People are not aware, but it's really there. It's there. Some people naturally their blood pressure is low. It's not a problem to them. Their body works like that. But if you know yourself and you know this pressure you are recording, blood pressure you are recording it's not the normal, it's not the usual one you normally record, that means there's a problem. You should start taking steps towards it. So let's now talk about high blood pressure, which is the common one people talk about. I have blood pressure. If you tell somebody you have blood pressure, the person is always thinking of high blood pressure. The low one too is very, very important. It's very, very urgent. It's an emergency case. It's sometimes even more than it's I will not say the two are let me put it this way. The low blood pressure is an emergency case. When it happens to you, you can die immediately because you are going to go in shock. But with the high blood pressure, you will be seeing the symptoms. You can be managed. You can be managed until it comes down. But with the low one, when it goes low, sometimes nothing can be done about it. So that's why when you start seeing the symptoms, you're supposed to start seeking medical attention. So let's talk about the high blood pressure now. The high blood pressure has root causes. You can't be there and have high blood pressure. There are factors that plays a role in getting high blood pressure. First of all, the food you take in. The food you take in will form the glucose in your blood. It's supposed to be absorbed by your system, but in some cases not absorbed. It is more than enough that the body can absorb, so you end up getting diabetes. If you take in fat from meat, normal oils, egg yolk and all that, they give you cholesterol. This cholesterol is also used by the body to produce your ovaries, okay, your eggs in women, your sperms in men, okay. It helps you in your daily activities. But when it is too much, as the body requires, what happens is it stores in the blood and under your skin, okay. It stores there, and now because it is not doing anything there, it becomes a solid in your blood. It makes the blood heavier. So most of the time, those with problems with cholesterol will definitely end up with high blood pressure. So you realize that if you are diagnosed of high cholesterol, you definitely be diagnosed of high blood pressure. If you are diagnosed of diabetes, you definitely be diagnosed of high blood pressure, because these are the root causes. Having too much solids in your blood or too much component in your blood that is more than the body is digesting, they end up making the blood thicker. Okay, so you require more force. The body will require more force to pump the blood. More force to pump the blood. Okay, so if the body requires more force to pump the blood, that means there's pressure that is built. And that's what we call as high blood pressure. So if you want to work towards not having high blood pressure in the future, you have to start choosing your food well. Start from your food. Mostly, I advise people not to be taking too much fat in meat. Meat. When we talk about meat, there's chicken meat, there's beef meat, okay, there's pork meat, there's rabbit. Some people like rabbit. There's cat meat, all these. But the common ones is goat meat, cow, chicken and all. Our advice, if you want to work on your cholesterol and not to be taking blood pressure medication in the future, you should cultivate the habit of taking more chicken in. chicken is easily digestible, okay? And take note, not just chicken, but chicken without the skin. The skin builds a lot of cholesterol. When you eat chicken and you are still taking in the cholesterol, it is just like you are taking in meat. It's normal. So taking more of the chicken without its skin is one step towards preventing blood pressure in the future. Secondly, you should, if you are to eat cow meat, it is not bad. You can eat, but without its fats. It's mostly called lean meat, meat without fat. And you should not be eating it every day, but at least once in a while. Once in a while, you can be taking your meat. And it should always be cooked meat. Cooked meat is better than fried, because when you fry, you increase the fat in it, okay? You add more fat to it. So you can take your meat, but not all the time. Unlike chicken, where you can take it all the time without the skin or the fat around it. The best to do is even to take more fish. When you take more fish, fish's fat is not as meat fat. When you take fish, its fat is very soluble. When you say something is very soluble, it can easily digest. It doesn't store. It doesn't become difficult for the body to digest it. So taking in fish all the time makes you or puts you at lower blood pressure. It helps the heart work properly, especially some type of fishes. Some people, because of their religion, they don't eat all types of fish. But fish like salmon fish is a very good one that gives you a good oil or a good fat. Okay, when you eat salmon fish, it has its oil that helps give you the best, how do I put it, the best fat, okay, the best oil. So it doesn't store cholesterol that much like meat, okay, and all that. So eating fish is one step, is the best. In fact, if you become somebody who eats only fish, then it's a good step towards preventing blood pressure. If you want to add some meat because you feel like you want varieties, you can add chicken meat without its flesh, its skin. As for cow meat, I always advise, as you are growing, cow meat is supposed to be reduced in itself, because when you are growing, it's no more utilized. Okay, the younger you are, if you take more fat, you are able to digest it because you utilize it. If you are in your reproductive age, you are menstruating as a lady. Every month you pass out blood. So all these fats, these these things you eat, they are used to make the blood. So you do not have a problem. When you are a child also, you walk a lot, you run, you do a lot of activity. So taking in fat, you are utilizing it. So the output, you are using it, so it doesn't get stored. But as soon as you cross adolescence, you are no more menstruating. You are now uh, after menopause. I mean, you have grown past reproductive age. All these things are no more utilized. They are now stored in your body and they are now causing harm. They now build up your cholesterol. They now build up your glucose level and all this. So you should watch what you eat. So back to what I was saying, the ideal way of eating. So when you are choosing your proteins, you should consider fish first. Secondly, consider chicken meat without its without its skin. And then lastly, once in a while, you can take in your cow meat. So you should also minimize your consumption of egg unless you were a child. If you are a child, an adolescent, like I said, consumption of egg is not too bad. As soon as you hit certain age like 35, 40, 50 going, and you are heading towards menopause, or you have now a sedentary life, you don't move like first, you should now minimize your intake of egg, especially the yolk. The yolk has a lot of cholesterol in it, though it is the yolk that has most of the vitamins, but it also has more of the cholesterol. So when you are eating egg, you should be opting for the cooked one. You should be opting for the cooked one. You should also be frying it without the egg yolk. That's if you are growing or you are now having a sedentary lifestyle. Eating egg, at least you should be eating egg twice or once a week when you are growing. It's not necessary to eat egg too much. You see people at night, that is when they go and buy indomie, fry it with 3 eggs, fried indomie, with these oils, meat with 3 4 eggs. It's very bad. We Ghanaians, I'm a Ghanaian, so I'm a proud Ghanaian. We mostly sell indomie at night, and we are tempted to buy it at night, which is a very bad habit. Indomie at night, you eat it, you are not active. You go straight to your bed, you sleep. All that fat, all that thing you've eaten that made up the indomie, you are using it to sleep. The blood flow is not as you are actively there during the day. You are sleeping, so everything you have eaten is going to sleep, and at the end of the day, it piles up and becomes cholesterol, glucose, extra glucose, and all that. So eating at night itself is another risk factor of getting blood pressure. You should be able to eat and wait about 2 hours before going to bed. And within that 2 hours, it's not like you finish eating and you go and relax. You should be doing something, before bed, 2 hours before bed. That way, the body has digested the food to a certain level that when you sleep, it's not going to cause any harm. So eating should always be done by 7 p.m. You have taken 7 p.m. sometimes even late, 6 p.m. You have taken your supper. If you are hungry in the night, you can take some snack. It could be fruit snack, something that will give you satiety, like the feeling of fullness, but it doesn't add uh, you know fat or something to your skin, to your body. Okay, so you by 6 p.m., 7, you should be taking your supper. And it is always advisable that if you want to work on your weight even, or towards preventing high blood pressure, you should be eating the heavier foods in the morning. In the morning, because the day has just started, you have a lot of things you are working on. Some of us will go to work in the morning. We have activities. Sometimes you can do side visits. You are walking around, you are talking, you are thinking. So when you eat heavy in the morning, you eat the indomie that you are supposed to be eating. That most of the time you eat in the night. You eat that in the morning. You eat your heavy wache in the morning, your heavy kenke in the morning. It is the best. Reason being that when you eat those ones in the morning, your energy requirement, the things you do, already is absorbing all the fat, the cholesterol that would have been stored in your body. So it is good. As the day is going and is getting to the evening, you are reducing the kind of food you are eating. Okay, so in the morning you eat the heavier ones with all the things you want. In the afternoon you can eat something heavy. Getting towards the evening, you can now eat whatever you be eating as breakfast. That way the load on the body reduces, and you can easily digest before you go to bed, because as soon as you go to bed, the system is shut. There's no digestion going on. It's only repair. When the body goes to sleep, it goes under maintenance. If it is a machine, you say we are going under maintenance, repairs. The same way God in his own wisdom, that's why he's great, he has made the body in such a way that when you sleep, that's when he's repairing the body. So those of us who don't like sleeping, you are depriving yourself from the body being repaired. You are depriving that, so you don't sleep. You think it's normal. You are killing yourself, because sleep is another factor. If you read into depth about some of the causes of blood pressure, lack of sleep can cause that. Because when you don't sleep, it causes that also. That's for another day. I think I'll talk about it better in another episode. So sleep helps you repair your body. As soon as you are asleep, everything you have damaged, tissue damage that has happened during the day because of one or two things, is repaired. So you need enough sleep. You need about 8 hours sleep a day. At least, if you have not had enough at all, it should be at least 6 hours. But 4 hours, 3 hours, that is not the best. So back to what I was saying. So eating from morning to evening should be reversed. So you eat your heavier meals that you would have been eating in the night, in the morning. As the day goes by, you'll be taking your lighter weight, your lighter weight foods, okay, like your breakfast in the evening. That way, it puts less pressure or less weight on the body. Yes, so high blood pressure doesn't just come like that. There are things you do that comes together and gives you that. And when it comes, before it goes, in fact, it doesn't even go. That's a chronic disease. When you say a disease is chronic, a disease that can be there for more than a year and you are on a therapy is chronic. Acute is when it comes. An acute, if a disease is acute, it means it came within a short time. It's gone. Cold is acute, malaria is acute, cholera is acute. But I'm giving you an example so that you have an idea of what I'm trying to say. But chronic disease, a disease that comes in more than a year, you are on treatment, you are just managing it, it never goes away. So blood pressure is a chronic disease. So medication doesn't treat it. Medication only cause your body to adjust, to manage it, so that it doesn't become out of hands, whereby it can lead to stroke, it can lead to heart failure, heart attack, chest pain, back pain, all those things. But it is actually your lifestyle that helps you prevent or manage blood pressure better. If you start having a routine whereby every time you are monitoring what you are eating, how you are eating, even how you are cooking it, it's also important. Like I said, cooked food are always preferred than fried and smoked foods. Okay, if you go for a menu, a get together, a serve yourself party, you should know what to choose. Your diet should be balanced. First of all, know the meats you are choosing. You see fried, you see grilled, you go for fried. I will go for grilled, because grilled is grilled. They've grilled it all right, but they've not deepened it in the oil. So when you finish excuse me, and you calculate the calories in both, you see that the one with fried has more calories than the one in the one that has been grilled. Okay, so you realize that abroad, when you travel outside, people are particular about their intake. When they are buying food, they read about the calories, because if you want to maintain your intake, you want to maintain a certain level of calorie you take to be able to manage your weight, you be calculating your calories. Even smoothie, when you take it, they will write on it the calories. They'll tell you this is how much this one contains. So when you take this, you should know that you are expecting this is how much you are taking to your system. But here, we don't check it. You and I, we go and buy our kenkey. Even the size of the kenkey differs. The fish, we don't know, we eat. But at least, if you have an idea about how to choose, like I said, you see fried, you should be going for the boiled one. It's better. You see boiled egg, fried egg, go for the boiled. It's better. Okay, so your choices of food is very important in managing and preventing blood pressure. First, your choice of food. I mentioned that earlier. What to choose, the time you eat, how you eat, even the quantity and portion size. If you're already diabetes, it's always advisable advisable to be eating in small quantities because the body will end up absorbing it gradually. So you are able to maintain the incoming glucose and you're able to digest accordingly. But if you eat too much, the body cannot digest all. That's when the rest becomes excess glucose for you. So if you're able to control that and you do not have diabetes, you do not end up having diabetes, you definitely not end up getting blood pressure. But they are like sisters. You cannot be having diabetes, having high cholesterol, and then not having blood pressure. It is no way. You will definitely be diagnosed of that. So you start watching your diet. So another advice I will give from from the expert's opinion is that you should be eating more green leafy vegetables. Green leafy vegetables do not have fat, but they are made up of some form of nutrient that helps you break down cholesterol. It already has fiber in it. This fiber, before when you take fiber and it goes into your system, it combines with the cholesterol before it's digested. So as you take in the fiber, if you have some form of build up cholesterol around your system, it goes there, pick it up, digest, and then it comes out through your back door. Back door in quote, it goes there. So eating more fiber, eating more of this green leafy vegetable like kontomire, ayoyo, all the green stuff, cabbage, carrot is not green but it's vegetable, okay, sweet pepper, all these vegetables, they helps you digest cholesterol more and takes them out of your system gradually. You will see that those who are vegetarians will hardly have blood pressure. If you're a vegetarian, you're always eating leaves and all, having high blood pressure is scarce, okay, than those of us who eat normal. But if you still keep a high intake of uh, green leafy vegetables, you are good. You are towards preventing blood pressure. You should also be choosing your oils right. Your oils. You should always be aiming for oils with low bad cholesterol. It is the bad cholesterol that gives you the issues, okay, all the plenty issues. So when you are buying oil, always go in for oil like sunflower oil, groundnut oil, okay, and all that. Sunflower oil, groundnut oil, coconut, not too advisable, but it's better than some other oil. Palm oil is not really advisable, but it is spicy, it's nice, everybody eats, but too much of it can help build some form of bad cholesterol, okay. You should also choose your milk, the milk you take in the morning. We have this kind of milk like Ideal Milk, Popular Milk, all the brands. All you have to do is look at the content, the amount of fat listed or labeled, the amount of fat they've displayed. You should look at it. If it is too high, don't go for it. There are paper milk where you can use to take your breakfast, like your oats, your cornflakes, whatever you eat for breakfast. You look at the type of it, the one with no fat. There are some that has no fat at all. That means they've removed all the fat. Some have semi, half fat. You choose. All these things will help you maintain a healthy lifestyle. You should also look at your intake of salt. You talk about intake of salt, it's not like you've taken salt you are eating, no, but look at how you get your salt, the processed foods you eat, see the intake, the content of the salt, manage all these. So all this coming together is not easy anyway, but it is possible, it is done. You do not have to be rich or having a lot of money to have a good lifestyle, no. It's about being principled, determined to achieve something, and consistent. When you start gradually, you become used to it. You go somewhere, people are eating a lot. They are choosing from different menus, eating anyhow. because you are particular about your weight one, and then you want to achieve not having cholesterol and all, you will not go in for certain things. When you follow all these things, you realize that you are even maintaining a healthy weight. You can be within the BMI, because when your BMI is high, you are definitely at risk of blood pressure. So put this in mind: high blood pressure, diabetes, bad cholesterol, obesity, these four are definitely sisters. They are not sisters, they are cousins. They work hand in hand. So as you reduce most of them, or you manage or control most of them, then you definitely overcome high blood pressure. You will never be diagnosed with high blood pressure. You will never end up on medication. Trust me. These are the best steps that you should follow as a person to maintain a healthy, a healthy lifestyle. In the future you wouldn't be diagnosed of blood, because having blood pressure, it is one scary, because you can be there and it will go up. You will not know. You'll be in the midst of people, you are fainting already, you are falling. It can give you stroke anytime, anywhere, anyhow. And one thing you should know is that if you see somebody fat, doesn't mean the person has a lot of cholesterol in him or her. No. Somebody can be slim like me, okay, or any other slim person, but has bad cholesterol. A lot of the quantity is high, because when this kind of bad cholesterol builds up in the blood, they go and deposit in the arteries. So you realize that when you go to some pharmacies, hospital, there's this drawing on the wall where you see that the arteries, they've drawn a circle. One is a tiny circle and one is normal. You realize that the one that has the tiny circle, what it means is that cholesterol has built in the walls of the arteries. And so when the walls, the diameter, or that diameter or circle of the artery, it's now small and it cannot carry enough blood, and the body will have to force blood to pass through it. That means you are getting high blood pressure. So if you are diagnosed with high blood pressure, you should go back and see these factors. Check on your cholesterol, check on your glucose. These two are definitely a root cause to your high blood pressure. Apart from that, sleepless nights, stress at work, the loss of a loved one can also bring these factors back. The most common root cause is bad cholesterol and diabetes. These two will definitely result in high blood pressure. So choosing your food is important. How to eat it, when to eat it, okay, is also important. Another important factor to prevent blood pressure is to be able to exercise. Not vigorous exercise, but walk. At least in a week, you can go in for a 30 minutes walk 3 times in a week. It's okay. If you're walking, your work is not too far from home, you can choose to walk in when you are going. When you come back, you pick your car. Something that will keep you in the exercise mode. You should be exercising. If you have any question, you should ask me. Feel free to ask me. I'll be able to answer before we close for today. Like I said, we'll be meeting every Saturdays and Sundays at 10 p.m. to discuss a lot of things. So next week, try and avail yourself, and let's hear a little of these things. It helps a lot if you take them serious. If you have any questions, please ask me before we close. So back to what I was saying. So having some exercises helps, because you help the body utilize whatever you have eaten. You help the body utilize whatever you have eaten. If your intake, there's this equation back in school when we were in school. There's this equation that gives you your intake and your output. Okay, when you eat more and you exercise less, they're balanced. becomes deposited in your body, and it gives you this extra glucose that results in diabetes and the bad cholesterol. But when your intake is as equal as your exercise, your activities, your output, you balance it. That means when you eat, the body uses it to do whatever it has to do, and then there's nothing extra left. So you eat to maintain the body. You eat to maintain the body. You don't leave anything extra that will bring other complications. That's how we always look at. You should always be having a weighing scale in the house. Possibly you'll be using it to check your weight. If as soon as you see that your weight is leaving a certain range, that means you are leaving the normal BMI range and you are going towards overweight, obesity. That means you are at risk of all these things. So maintaining a healthy weight is also a good thing to be checking. Okay. If you think you've had blood pressure before, or you are diagnosed with blood pressure, you should try and have a blood pressure machine at home. It is better than going out there to go and check. You may never know what may happen. Anytime you are feeling unusual, you are feeling some way, you check. If everything is fine. If you realize that there's a problem, then quickly you know what to do. So having a blood pressure machine at home is so important. Having there are different forms of blood pressure machines, but it's mostly good to use the one that gives the right reading, because getting a wrong reading can also give you a wrong interpretation. So having a blood pressure machine that is adequate is also a good thing. So high blood pressure, you see, we've talked a lot about it because it is a complicated condition. If it is not well managed, you end up having stroke, because this is how it works. Like I said, I give you the mechanism of how you end up getting high blood pressure. When the things in the blood, the content of the blood becomes too much, that the volume or the weight of the blood is too high, the body will need a lot of force to pump the blood around the body. Okay. So if these solids in the blood, like the bad cholesterols are inside, the glucose and all, goes up into the brain and causes a blood clot in any part of your brain, it leads to a stroke. If where the clot happened, it is a part of the brain that controls your arms, that means you will be having a stroke on your arms. Your arms becomes weak. If it is the part of the brain that controls your legs will be weak, because now you cannot move them. So the mind, not the mind, but the brain. The mind is a is a virtual something, but the brain, it is what we see. So the brain has components that control everything you do. In God's own wisdom, He has made the brain in such a way that all the parts has what is like this. The main source is the central of your body. That is what controls. So when a blood clot happens in a part of the brain, that part of the brain that controls any part of your body does not respond. That's why there are ways of checking for symptoms of stroke. If you are getting stroke, sometimes your face is no more straight. You see that when you are talking, it's not going well. You start feeling pains in your limbs. I'll talk more on that the day we are discussing stroke on its own. I'll talk about it, the management, what causes it. I've given a little on it today, but I'm going to delve more into it and invite somebody to even talk more about it and all that. So today we have spoken about high blood pressure. We have spoken about the things we should do. Like I said, it's not medication. Blood pressure cannot be cured. Blood pressure, you cannot be on medication thinking you'll be cured. No. It's lifestyle, your lifestyle. When you are able to work at it, it becomes part of you. you definitely not have all these problems. Fine, as time goes on, our lifestyle changes. We make we become more comfortable, so we don't walk again. Everywhere we go, we are either driving, or we are picking Uber, we are picking Bolt. The sun is too hot, but in those days, people really walk. In fact, I'm part of the people I'm talking about. These days, we don't really walk because it's not easy. The sun is hot. Sometimes you want to go somewhere, you don't want the sun to scorch you, you know, or you want to get somewhere early, you cannot walk, go in there, you have to pick a taxi or drive quickly. So from your car or your boat or your Uber to your house, from your house to your office, the office to, it's all about documentation, it's all about working on the computer, you don't move. So our lifestyle have changed truly. So because of that, you should be paying more attention to your health by giving yourself some extra time to exercise. Choose your right food, because at the end of the day, even if you are seated at one place the whole day, but you are mindful of how you eat, like taking more green leafy vegetable, more salads with less oil, but even if you should choose your oils, healthy ones, of course, and all that, eating less saturated fats, I mean milk with less fat, and all these things, it helps you keep your cholesterol in control, your glucose in control, your weight in control. So there's more to it, but these are the important things I have touched on. We are always going to be meeting every weekend, like I said, and so once in a while I will be repeating this topic. For those of us who couldn't see it today, we'll see it again in the future. So on this note, I would like to ask if anybody has a question, you can ask. Whatever question you want to ask, you can ask. I'll be able to help you, give you the answers. If I cannot answer right now, I'll go back and come back another day and give you the right answers. So, blood pressure medication. Sometimes when you're in it for long, it damages your kidney. And so that's why most of the time, if you're on BP medication, you should be drinking a lot of water to flush everything in your kidney. Drink a lot of water to remove all these residues of your medication. Some people are on it for the past 30 years, for the past 20 years. They're always on pressure. It is normal. I'm not saying it is good, but it is happening to people. But one thing you should also note that you can come out of that if your lifestyle changes are right. You should be taking more water if you're on any blood pressure medications, because the mechanism that this blood pressure medication uses sometimes reduces the effectiveness of the kidney, how effective the kidney works. So taking more water helps you flush the kidney, maintain the kidney in good shape. Okay, so on this note, I will advise you to consider everything I said and try. Don't blame it on money. You can still eat healthy even if you don't have enough money. You can eat healthy when you are rich. However your social status is, if you want or you aim at having a healthy lifestyle to be able to prevent all these diseases I've discussed so far, like diabetes and then blood pressure and bad cholesterol, you should be able to do that. You just have to be mindful of your choices of food, what to avoid, what you can take in, how to take it in, when to take it in, the portion size, and you yourself, how you should exercise, and all that. You'll be fine. So I'd like to thank all those who joined my live talk, health talk this evening. I'm very grateful. and I'm expecting more of you in the next episodes. And I believe that by the grace of God, we'll be able to touch lives and help people understand these things to be able to manage and prevent these chronic diseases. Today is Sunday. I believe that most of us will be going to work tomorrow. So I would like to leave you, and I wish you the best in the coming week. I pray for God's favor to be on all of us and keep us until we meet again next week on Saturday 10 p.m. and Sunday. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Mina. You can call me Mina, or full name Aminatu Watara. Try and follow my social handle so that if we come live, you'll be able to know that we are live and then join us right from the beginning. Thank you so much. I really appreciate those who join, and I expect you next week again. Thank you.